All right, all right, all right. Welcome to another episode of Agents Influence Podcast. That's right. It is here with me, Conversations, Jason Cass, and here I am today with Troy Korsgaden. That's what he said. He said that I said it right. What'd you say? It was Norwegian?
Norwegian, yes, sir.
That's right, Troy. Thank you very much. We're going to call him from now on because he said we're allowed to. We're going to call him TK until I forget and I call him Troy again. So TK, man, hey, thanks for being on here with me, man. This is long overdue.
I'm excited to be here with you today, Jason.
It really, truly is, man. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see that he's got all these books behind him and shit. I feel like he's on interviewing him on CNN right now. That's what it looks like. So, anyways, beautiful pictures of his kids. Got a bobblehead over there. Boy, people, you've got to go watch YouTube to check this shit out. So, Troy, buddy, I'm glad we've done it. We've been trying to set this up for multiple months. You're a busy guy, and I'm a busy guy, but yet here we are, and we're going to give everybody what they thought this would be, right?
You betcha. I'm ready. Let's rock.
All right. iPhone or Droid user?
iPhone.
You're an iPhone user. What's the last app you downloaded?
Blinkist.
Blinkist? What's that?
So it's an app that does book summaries, and I read a lot, but I like to go back and listen to. They do a 15-minute summary on a book, and so if it's a book somebody says I ought to read, I listen to the summary before I just go out and buy it, just because they said. And then I go back because in my earlier days I read even more. I still read a lot. But being younger, I was able to, absorb a lot better. Now I got to reread a book, if it's a good one, 2 or 3 times to absorb it correctly.
Very true, very true. Me and my reading geeky buddies say that same exact thing. Yeah, so many books. And what's amazing is when someone will mention a book and you're like, holy cow, I read that like 23 years ago, completely forgot about it, I would love to have that so I could go find that summary and say, summarize that for me again, because I remember that book was electric, Yeah, good call on that. I like that.
You'll check that out. It's really good. It's not expensive, and it's just a plethora of information. It's great.
Wow. Do you love to win or do you hate to lose, Troy?
I love to win. I learn from losing. I've lost more than I've won. I've written 7 books on all my successes. I could have written 21 on the stupid things that I've done, and I hope we get to talk about some of them also.
Yeah, wow, that's interesting. 2 things in the world that we believe got you to where you are now: luck or skill. If that was the one, if those were the 2, which one's been a bigger factor in your life?
I call it blessings, luck. I used to think that I was really smart, and I hate to use the word manipulate, but I felt like I positioned myself to such a degree that I almost manipulated things happening. And then about 5 years ago, I really reviewed my life in its totality, and I realized I did nothing. I was at the right place, the right time, for whatever reason that was. And I've rolled all that up to help me today. And I'm bigger and stronger today, I think, because I really realize now I've surrendered and I don't try to manipulate anything. I just be the best person I can be. I do position myself because you got to be at the right place, right? So you got to show up. But I don't force the issue. Yeah, I had an issue this morning that I could have manipulated a lot of stuff. And I just stepped back and I just said, hey, I'm just going to surrender here, and as Bruce Lee said, be like water and just let it flow where it needs to go. But I was present. I was part of it.
That's right. And also, one of the beauties of, especially in Asian culture, of water is it's so appreciative because it always goes to the lowest point, right?
This is true.
Remember reading that one time. And when it goes to the lowest point, that's I think it's in the I Ching. He talks, Lao Tzu talks about that. Now, that's Troy, right. I got some stuff here that we want to talk about. So,
sure.
So what it is, so out of the luck or the skill, what would you say was the biggest one?
It's luck, but you got to be skillful, right? But I know a lot of people who have a lot of skill and they get hit by a truck.
That's right.
That's unlucky.
That's right.
So I've got to believe that it's a combination, right? I work on my skills. I'm a learner. But it's a combination of both. You can't rely on one or the other. But to say that you don't have good fortune or blessings or luck would be ignorant. It just, I was born in the right place. I lived in the right community. I knew the right people at the right times. And then again, I attracted some pretty bad people that I, went down some wrong paths, and that's bad luck.
I like it.
Yeah.
So where were you born?
I was born in Downey, California. My parents lived in a town called Norwalk, which is in Southern California. I was born in Downey, and shortly after that, my father and mother moved us here to the San Joaquin Valley, where I live today.
Where's that at?
California, Central. You've heard of sun-made raisins.
It's okay.
Sun-made raisins, the agriculture. Yeah.
All right, still out there in the old CA.
That's right.
So, Troy, let's talk a little bit about this stuff. So, how did you, give us a little bit after your mom and dad moved you to where you are. Tell us about your life and how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, 4 brothers and sisters, twin sisters that are younger, 2 older brothers. We're all very close. My father died when I was 6. Moved here when I was 5. Yeah, died in a car accident. Left my mom with 5 kids. Great mother. It wasn't a perfect life, but we lived a kind of Ward Cleaver, June Cleaver type of life with just mom. Weren't rich, weren't poor, completely poor. We were lower middle class. Lived in a nice home in a safe neighborhood, but it wasn't fancy at all. No pool, no nothing. All the things that we all aspired to as children were because we didn't have a lot, but we did have a lot. We had a nice home, awesome mother, great brothers and sisters, great family unit, and all the kids turned out to be successful in their own way.
That's great. Wow, that is fantastic. So going from there, you got out, you went to high school, college, or whatever. How'd you get to where you are?
Yeah, high school. Went to a school literally a couple blocks away from where we lived. Again, great teachers, great friends, great environment. I've always had a really great environment all of my life, up to even now. So a great environment. Wanted to go to college, but I have a short attention span. I lasted 1/2 of the year and bailed because I just am too antsy, got to have everything too quick. One of the mistakes I made, I should have gone on, not necessarily to Harvard or anywhere, but I should have completed it. But I wanted to be a musician. So I was self-taught guitar and piano, learned how to write songs when I was in high school, and thought I was going to be a musician, and didn't work out. When I got to LA, I learned really quickly, no talent. So had my tail between my legs and came back home, and that's how I got into the insurance world. I had to find a place where I loved something, and it turned out I loved insurance.
When was that?
1983. I was in Southern California. I moved back, had no idea what I was going to do. Had a friend of mine whose father was in insurance, another friend that was in insurance, an uncle that was in insurance. I thought, that looks like it might be a cool place to be. I just needed a cool place. Not that a lot of people think insurance is cool, but I got into it, and again, blessings, luck. I ended up just living, breathing, sleeping, just everything. I just ended up loving every aspect of it.
I gotcha. Yeah. I feel you there. And so you started in, where'd you go? How'd you get to where you are now?
Yeah, so I started with a company here in California called Farmers Insurance. They're an exclusive company. So I represented just their brand at the time. And they taught me insurance. I had a great manager. He's up here on the wall of pictures of people that have influenced my life and had an impact. And he shepherded me through my first 7 years of business, which I was young, 21, when I first started full-time in insurance. And I was young and dumb, and he shepherded me through it and really just set me up a platform to expand and create a career that lives on today as a consultant to insurance carriers and to people not just in the U.S., but around the globe.
So you were solely with Farmers your whole life?
When I first started, yeah, they allowed me to sell their products first, offer them first, and I had an outlet to be able to sell products that they didn't, like agricultural products that they didn't want, trucking that they didn't want. So I expanded my practice. I'm always thinking out beyond where I'm at. and that served me well. And I was able to become bigger and stronger and create an environment for myself where I leapfrogged all the other farmers agents, not because I had products that were outside of what they offered, just because I just hired people and developed people to be a bigger and stronger business, not just an insurance sales job. Yeah.
So that's where you feel as if is that you're the separated from everyone else.
At the time, now
you know how to build teams.
It's commonplace. Back then, in the late '80s, the early '90s, it was unique. I was a unicorn. I was out there, and I happened to write a book back at that time, at the end of the '90s, early 2000s, that became a bestseller. And there's 250,000 copies of this book in circulation today. Not because I was smart, but because nobody wrote books back then. Today, if everybody writes a book. Back then, nobody did. Today, you got to be Harry Potter to make money to sell a book.
It's true. It's true on that.
Yeah.
So what would you, so today when you go in and you consult people and you consult agencies, is that right? Are you consulting? Who are you doing your consulting work now?
Yeah, it's a little complicated. I don't contract with individual agencies, so I work with carriers, brands that I can't mention on the podcast here today.
Gotcha.
But if you can think of them, I work with them at some level, some deeper than others. So do I touch agencies? Yeah. I mean, agents look at me and go, this guy knows what I go through. And it's not easy being a self-employed person, whether you're selling insurance or refrigerators. It's just not easy, or whether you're doing radiators, or whether you own a restaurant. And so they look at me and they go, I can believe this guy because he's been beat up and he's been bloodied. And so when he tells me, I tried this, it didn't work, or you might want to think of this, that's what a consultant does. So carriers will hire me from a global standpoint. And I'm an expert at what they call the seamless distribution ecosystem. So when I started in the 80s, there weren't computers, and then computers came along, and then you had desktops and things to speed things up. Well, today, it's all a part of the buying process, the service process, the claims process. And so I connect the dots for not only the carriers, but for the brokers, agents, and firms that are using these technologies to make it seamless for the customer, because that's what it's about. It's not about us. It used to be. Now it's about the customer, 100%, non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's right. So Troy, you talk about, the things that you wanted to be, the things that you thought that you were, and things you mentioned about 5 years ago, you realized that, it wasn't about you, it was about other things, and it's things you had mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. What happened 4 or 5 years ago that made you reevaluate what TK was doing?
I became unhealthy, mentally, physically. Too much booze, too much money, too much everything. So I had to take a hard look at myself, because everything that I'd worked for, and I got to what I perceived was the top. And when I got there, I realized there is no top. It's just, you just keep going and going and going. And I was tired. I was worn out, physically, mentally, a lot mentally more than I knew, because I just didn't realize that I had mental issues like everybody does. I just thought I was invincible. And the booze got a hold of me, and what served me well was my tolerance to booze when I was young. But when you get older, your health starts to deteriorate, and you just physically can't keep that pace. And so I had to stop. I just had to really take a look at myself. How did I get here? Why did I get here? And then where do I want to go? What changes am I going to make to get healthy? Because you got to have good health. Everything you want to do is useless if you don't have the health to be able to do it.
Was it your health that started to go bad, or did it start to affect relationships?
It's a good call. This is why you're good at what you do. The relationships, I speak for a living. Part of what I do is tomorrow I'll be speaking in front of 300-400 people. I'll do that. I'll literally talk to thousands of people every year. But when you get down to it, speaking is just oratory, right? That's not a communicator. I need to work on my communication skills, and I didn't humbly admit that. I just felt I was such a great orator that I didn't need to work on my relationship with Jason, and to be transparent with Jason, not ridiculous, but to not be surface with Jason. So I got to have communication skills. So yes, my relationship, the ones I really valued, spouse, children, friends, colleagues, started to deteriorate, and quickly. And I was able to handle it all the way up until 5 years ago, but it all started to unravel. And then I started looking, then when people started to when I said, I got a problem, then people said, yeah, man, you're unhealthy. And I started to listen to that.
Wow.
And I realized
crazy that no one told you that until they may have thought that, but no one told you until you asked or something like that. I can't really think how to put that out there.
No, you're saying it. It's
Wow.
Look, we're all enablers to people over health, over destructive things they do. Addiction's easy, like booze or pills or drugs or any of that. You can say to somebody, "Hey, man, you're out of control," right? But not many people want to rock the boat with you, because if you're delivering, not just money, right? Because I'm a rainmaker, I make money happen. But people really want to be around me or you because of our energy, So it's like immediately you just have this energy, and you're a magnet to people.
It's true.
And yeah, it is. And then so they don't want to ruin that because they want access to you. A lot of people want to be on your show because you're an influencer, but it's really your energy that is the influence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And what was it? I don't want to know the specific thing and get personal, but was this just this aha moment? There was some aha moment, right? Everybody's rock bottom where you had to be like, okay, this really needs to get, and this is good, Troy. And I appreciate you being open like this, because as you know, I think a lot of people are hitting their moment. They just want to ignore that maybe there's something that needs to change.
Of course. Yeah, of course. And you can ask me anything. There's nothing I won't answer, honestly, because here's the thing. The reason I never dealt with this before is, number one, I didn't think about it. And then when I did think about it, I stuffed it down, and I didn't want to deal with it out of fear. So what was the fear? Fear is people pay me big money for answers, complex answers. And to admit that I had my own problems, and this is the problem for a lot of people, including me, is you're not humble because you don't want to ruin all the things that you've worked for. When in reality, it's all vapor. It's called hevel. And it just really is just smoke. And it really, when you stop and you take a look at everything, you just go, wow. I was worried about nothing. The old saying, 95% of what you worry about never comes to happen, never comes to pass. It never happens. It's true. Because I thought the world would stop when I took time to really evaluate where I was mentally, physically, to deal with my alcohol. And most of what I dealt with was really 80% mental, because it drives everything. The things that happened when you were a little kid, like my dad died. Being raised by a single parent, which I thought was awesome, and it was. But there were trade-offs to that, right? And they call them traumas. I had to deal with all of them, I'm still a work in progress. 5 years later, I don't want to claim, spike the ball and go, I've got it all.
Always will be.
Like I said this morning, I had problems. My first reaction was to go to old Troy and deal with them, and I thought, I think I'll just surrender here and just give it 24 hours before I even react to any of what's going on today. And it didn't mean I was ignoring it. It just meant I just needed to get a level set and not just go boom and, clean house today.
That's it's so crazy too. And then you mix in the fact that, with high energy comes the fact that people expect certain things out of you, right, TK? If you decide that you want to take some time off and you just want to not be energetic, people wonder what's wrong with you, right? Which then drives back to it's so funny to speak of, because I could sit here and talk about this all day long. I really, really, truly can. So,
can I challenge you a little bit?
Thoughts on that, Troy?
Yeah, I'll challenge you a little bit.
Yeah, come on.
I agree with you in one part, but I want to tell you a little story. So that fear I had of not being available, to take time for myself to try to figure out where I was I'm going to lose it all. Everybody needs me. Everybody wants me. And I'm a popular guy in my world, not on TV, but I'm a popular guy in my world, right? And I just thought, man, people are going to freak out. They don't have access to me. 100 days, 3 people went, hey, is everything okay? 3, these are perceived friends, and everybody's a perceived friend. And it wasn't that they didn't care. I realized they got their own stuff, man. They got their own problems with their own kids, and they got their own problems with their own business, and they got their own problem in their own place they worship, and all this. And I realized, so I went in and I thought, okay, I'm going to take 30 days for myself. I'm going to study. I'm going to figure this out. And after 30 days, I went, I'm going to do another 30 because nobody's freaking out. In fact, people were contracting me for when I was ready, which was going to be the following year. And I thought, okay, well, I'm just not going to worry about this. And so when I got to the 90 days, and I went, I'm going to spend an extra 10 days helping people that felt the way I did 90 days ago, because you have this just unnerving need to just go back to what you were, right? And I'm not saying I didn't go back to a lot of my old life. I did. I just look at it differently. And so it's just really just getting, I like to say the old saying, go out on a limb because that's where all the fruit is. So you just keep going out there, and you're going to fall off once in a while, and I did. But I just at the end of the day, I'm a bigger, stronger, better person for it, and my business is stronger and better.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
It really truly is. I mean, you at the beginning of this, I actually, because I like to take little notes of things that I would like to name the name of the podcast. And one of the things that you threw out there, like very first second we got on, was egg salad. I'll talk about it. And you said that, and what's funny is how here we are, and well, I tell you what, this has been a hell of an egg salad. I got to tell you, this is this is good to learn. What's great about it is it's great because people don't have these conversations, right? This is one of these stigmatas. It's way better today than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's whether you say it's a disease or someone says it's a mental illness or someone says that whatever it could possibly be, doesn't really matter. These things aren't talked about, but we'll talk about so many other things that actually are of less concern. I would say that probably more than half of the people in America, probably in the world, but I'm going to keep it in me, have some kind of mental disorder, some kind of mental pain, mental anguish, emotional chaos, And it's like, it's the number one thing, though, that we all act like we don't have, right? It would be equivalent to us, probably, Troy, all of us acting like we don't eat, right? Think if we all kept that from each other. We're like, I don't want them to know that 3 times a day we eat, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like everybody's like, hello, we all eat, It's very similar to that because, and I just believe it's the world that we live in, and I think people can sometimes put it in a bad light, and I don't think that it is. I believe that we are evolving as humans so fast and rapidly, and just not because of technology. This has been going on for 40, 50, 60 years. Our emotional intelligence is becoming a very, very vital piece of our world. And I think it's hard for us to understand that and that what it's like. I mean, it's hard to understand that empathy is the number one driving emotion in the future, besides love, right? Can't forget love. But empathy is what is going to separate those who are going to be able to communicate and be successful in the future. What do you think, TK?
So I want to validate it, Jason. So even when I got past what I wanted to do to reset, if you will, I still thought, man, CEOs, executives will look at me and just go, man, is this guy going to crack out at some point? I mean, is that what happens with this guy from now on? Because they never knew, right? And so I still have fear. Everybody has fear. I don't care who you are. You gotta just deal with your fear. And so that was my big thing. But now I have people that come up. Now, granted, this is, almost 5 years later. They come up to me and they go, hey, I need your help, even outside of the insurance industry. This executive has an issue and we'd like for you to talk to him. We'll even pay you. And I go, no, I do this gratis. You pay me for my insurance consulting. I do this as a way to give back. And now I help people to get, they're not all executives, but a good majority of them. So instead of the executives going, is this guy going to crack out? They go, we entrust you with this person who's, making X amount of dollars, a big money machine for us. We need you to talk to the person. They need to feel comfortable that they can talk to somebody who's been through this, and they need to deal with it. Or you mentioned the bottom. Jason, there is no bottom. There's no such thing. Wipe it out. Because when you get to the bottom, if you're a real addict, a drug addict, an alcoholic, somebody with mental issues, or both is usually how they come together, you start looking for the trap door when you get to the bottom. You start digging into the dirt because you just go, the thing that's going to immediately make me feel better, to get rid of my fear, to get rid of my insecurities, or to get rid of all the thoughts I'm having, because some people's mind just races. They dig for the trap door, and they find it, because the trap door is to more of whatever it is. It could be porn, it could be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be too much business, workaholics, and you just go into all this. So I just want to say that no matter where you're at in life, you don't have to be in the insurance world. You could be in the real estate world, or you could be running a church or a synagogue or a mosque or whatever. People, to your point, 50, 60% of them, I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm here to tell you that the more I do this, the more I realize I'm not alone. And I don't, you're one of, I've been on a couple of podcasts where people have been this direct, and I appreciate it. I'd say 90% of them don't even bring this up, and I don't bring it up. I don't want to be the guy that go, well, there's that guy, but I don't, I don't hide from it. It's actually improved my credibility. People just go, hey, that guy's willing to admit the hard knocks. I've had some hard knocks along with success.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's why I love talking about it. And I am okay to go there. I have bipolar disorder type 2, and I'm medicated. I'm my loyal listeners that are listening to it know it. And the reason is people know that I'm a little wild and crazy and high energy and whatever. I don't know if that has to do with the bipolar, but it's who I am. And to be honest with you, I think that it's not so much who I am, though. I want other people to realize that they can talk about whatever they're going through as well, because we're all going through it. Once again, we're all eating. We're all eating here. We don't have to hide from each other around 5 o'clock and we're all wondering what we're doing. It all is. And I do agree, though. I do think, though, it is way easier to talk about it today. I wouldn't have talked about it openly 4 or 5, probably 10 years ago. But then again, I was also 34, and I was still dealing with the fact that of all the stuff, like, what if people found out about this? They're going to say, that's why he does this and that and all this. Yeah. And then I remember when I first came out and started talking about it, I think in 2017, 2018, I actually had people who were like, thank you very much for this. You know what I mean? Or I had one lady too, Troy, she called me and she wasn't in the insurance industry, or she didn't call me, she emailed me, but her husband was in the insurance industry and had some issues. And by him hearing it, actually, he started to get some help and talk about it. And then she actually emailed me. This was like back in 18, 19. I still have that email. And it was those kind of things. So it validates, as you said, your point as well, is that people, we need to be more open about this. We need to talk about these things. We'll talk about other things, but we don't talk about it.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So anyways, so that was good stuff. That really is good. And for all you loyal listeners out there, just trying to hear that out. I mean, that is, Troy, you just gave a master's class in what you did and why that's reasoning there. And I love how you say there is no bottom, because you are right. They'll find it. If you give them enough time, they'll find the trap door. Good stuff. Egg salad. I'll talk about it. Anything specifically that you wanted to talk about on here? Because my notes, we've ran far away from those, Troy.
Now, Jason, I tell you, it's been an honor to be on here, and I would enjoy another conversation with you. This is very impactful, and I know that your listeners, when they listen to you and your guests, I'm sure that they get a lot out of it. So I'm proud to be on with you today.
Yeah, I appreciate it very much, Troy. And if you ever need anything from me, let me know. Matter of fact, I'd love to have you at our next Brain Share. You need to come to our next Brain Share. It's going to be in New Orleans next April. I would love for any of that. And for all you loyal listeners, you can go to aibrainshare.com, aibrainshare.com, and you can get an invite. You got to get on the invite list. Only 100 people are invited every year. Sells out in 2 weeks. Get on there. Troy, I do greatly appreciate it. We are going to do another one because we literally got to about 6, maybe 4 of the talking points of the 10 that I had. So I do appreciate everything of you. Thank you for being open. Thank you for giving impact to my listeners. This went places I didn't think it went, and it went better than I thought it would. So thank you very much, Troy.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, to all you loyal listeners out there, you know I do what I do because I do it for you. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me your ideas, and I'm going to tell the world what you have to say. This has been Jason Cass. I'm Cass. He's Troy Korsgaden. Out.